Hey, welcome to this week's video. In this week's video, I'm going to talk about inflation. It's quite possible that inflation has never impacted your business. In fact, since the early 90s, inflation has only been maybe 3 to 4% on a year-over-year basis. In fact, you'd have to go back to the early 1980s to really see where inflation actually impacted the economy quite significantly. But having said that, it's best to be prepared in these times where inflation may increase and you need your business to be ready to combat that increase in inflation. So in this video, I'm going to talk just about that, exactly what you can do in times of rising inflation. So let's get started. The first thing I want to talk about is your prices. Now, in times of inflation, it makes sense to increase your prices. However, there is a wrong way and a right way to increase your prices. In fact, in some cases, you may want to discount your prices, which would be disastrous for your business. I don't recommend doing that. Instead, I would think about how you can differentiate from your competition in what you're selling. Can you set up unique bundles or offer more to bring in customers? Can you actually look at and see what customers and what products are actually the most profitable for my business, and can I focus or should I focus on those particular customers or products in order to combat the increase in inflation? These are areas that you can look at before you just blindly raise or discount your prices. The second area is to review your costs. Now, when I say review your costs, you're reviewing not only your direct costs, those are the costs that you incur to sell your product or deliver your service, but also look at your overhead costs. So you might think about, if you purchase for your business products or materials, you may want to purchase them in advance. You may actually consider diversifying and finding other suppliers so you can kind of pit them against each other on the pricing to get better pricing. You may also consider maybe entering into purchase contracts for certain commodities or things that you have in your business that are somewhat difficult to get your hands on, especially in times of rising inflation. Another area to consider is reviewing your lease. Maybe it's time to negotiate with your landlord if you think there's going to be a long period of time where inflation is going to be rising. You may want to lock in your lease payment over a longer period of time. Another area that you might want to look at is labor and evaluate your labor. Now, in times of rising inflation, there may be pressure on wages. So it's good to take a look at what I should be increasing your wages to and how that impacts your business. Also, competition amongst other companies trying to steal employees or employees looking to go elsewhere. You might want to look at what your benefits are, what you're providing. What are the costs of those benefits? Are they increasing as well? And look at that in a complete picture to see how can I improve my employee relations, but also help manage that cost as well. Another area is to consider debt. Now, I don't recommend just blindly going and getting debt, but I do, in times of inflation, think that it's best to consider, because in times of inflation, interest rates may be increasing. And if that's the case and you're looking to either expand your business or there's some other reason that you're looking to obtain debt, it might be a good time to do that, as interest rates would be lower. If inflation is going higher, then they're going to start to increase. But I would strongly encourage you to do an analysis to see, okay, if I'm going to utilize that debt, I need to get a return on that debt that's greater than the interest rate. The next is to prepare what-if scenarios. And what I mean by this is really to do a forecast in your business. Let's look at what the impact would be if inflation hits certain levels. It's kind of like the good, the bad, and the ugly. Taking a look at what different scenarios in your business and how that is going to impact you, and better yet, how you're going to react. Also taking a look at what metrics maybe you want to measure to kind of keep a close eye on what's going on with the increase in inflation and the impact that has on your business. Another area to look at is to review your cash levels. Now, when I say that, in times of inflation, things are going to cost more. So obviously you're going to want to look at what cash levels you have in the business and what cash levels you keep in the business and then what cash levels you invest in the business. So I generally recommend that you have 20% of your sales in cash. And what I mean by that, cash in emergency funds and operating expenses is 20% of the annual sales is what I recommend that you have. And then also I recommend that you have set aside money for taxes. But beyond that, the excess cash, you may not want to keep that in the business, because in times of increasing inflation, that cash is just going to depreciate and become worth less. So what you might want to do is either invest that money into maybe exchange traded funds or something like that, or maybe you want to invest that in your business. Again, it's kind of like the debt, where maybe instead you want to invest that cash in your business. But you also want to look at what amount of levels of cash you do want to keep in the business, because things are getting to be more and more expensive. That's going to require more and more cash, unfortunately, on the business. And you want to review those levels to make sure that you are maintaining a proper level of cash. So in summary, you need to review all areas of your business in times of inflation. Meet regularly with your finance team to go through the finance scenarios of different things and impacts on your business. Focus on areas where you're the most profitable in times of inflation, so that you can maintain a proper level of margin and profitability. And don't think that you shouldn't raise your prices. While it's difficult when you are competing against others in your industry, you can raise your prices in unique ways and generate and maintain your level of profitability if you take a step back and look at it from the customer experience and how you can add value. You can always raise your prices, especially if you are adding value and you can differentiate yourself from your competition. So that's it for this week's video. If you received any value of the video, that'd be awesome if you hit that thumbs up, and it'd be great if you subscribe, and I will catch you on the next one.